Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE NXT on October 26, 2016. And well, a lot of this show, I would say, was more about building their storylines than necessarily match quality in this sense. So we did get at least a decent and good match to go along with everything. They started off the show with DIY or Do-It-Yourself, Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano going up against Ho Ho Yun and Tian Bing, two of their newer talents. Tian Bing also being their first Chinese signed superstar. They make their first appearance, which was in a decent match. I thought both of them kind of worked well. I liked how Tian Bing also kind of played off of being more of the powerful guy inside of the ring with Ciampa and Gargano there, and also being the bigger guy on his team to go along with it. But of course, you would consider Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano going over in this case. They're advancing on into the Dusty Classic to, of course, go against their rival tag team, the Revival. So they'll meet in the quarterfinals whenever they decide to go ahead and do that with everything. You also had what was in the main event of the night, T.J. Perkins teaming up with Kota Ibushi because they had already announced Hideo Itami was not going to be able to compete in the Dusty Classic, going up against Lince Dorado and Mustafa Ali. Really good match, just good action from these guys. You can't really say they were building much of a storyline inside of this match. This was more of a match, but it was just a really good match between from both sides. Some good spots in there from both all people inside of the ring, and yeah, you can tell at this point T.J. Perkins is a little bit more over down with NXT than he is up on the main roster. He got like a bigger pop from those guys because, well, they had done the entire Cruiserweight Classic down there and everything. They'd seen him a lot more. And of course, Ibushi got a very good pop to go along with it because, well, that NXT crowd wants to see as much Kota Ibushi before he just goes back over to Japan or goes and does whatever he's going to do next. Of course, Perkins and Ibushi go over here, and lo and behold, their second round matchup is against Sanity. It'll be interesting to see how they play that one off, whether this is going to be a way to get Sanity out of that particular program and into a different one within that time frame. And because I could totally see them, because you don't want to necessarily get rid of Perkins and Ibushi. You might want to save that for TakeOver if you could get Ibushi to work TakeOver, but you don't want to not put over Sanity in some way, shape, or form. So I can almost see them doing like what they did with Nikki Cross, where they win the match, but they get the decision reversed or something like that, or some kind of DQ does happen within that match. You can totally see that, but we'll see how everything plays off with that second round match down here in the near future. They had matches for the night, because you actually had like 5 matches. Because the next ones were rather quick in the end. You had Aaliyah going up against Billie Kay, and it looks like they're trying to bill Aaliyah as more of a face in some way, shape, or form. Though, like her movement and action to the ring kind of says she could be a heel too. It's weird where they're going, but they're beginning to use her a lot more now. So you might see a more character development down the road here, because that's the same thing they did with Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. Now they kind of have more defined characters where Aaliyah's kind of just showing up on TV. That's what Billie Kay and Peyton Royce used to do. The match goes pretty much in the favor of Billie Kay until Liv Morgan comes out and starts attacking Peyton Royce, and Aaliyah sneaks in and gets the distraction roll-up victory. I know there's some people that just love distraction roll-ups, and by that I mean that sarcastically. But Liv Morgan came out, started going after Peyton Royce. This causes Aaliyah to get the victory, and after the match, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce were beating down Liv, but Aaliyah comes back in. They kind of get a small advantage, but Peyton Royce and Billie pretty much go over and lay out both of them. And it looks like I guess that's where they're going to go with it. It's going to be Liv trying to find a tag team partner to go up against both of them here in the near future. Maybe it ends out being Aaliyah. Maybe they have her team up with somebody else. We'll see how everything goes. But in the end, you got a pretty good reaction from Liv Morgan on this one. The crowd kind of popped when she came out there to attack, and we'll see where everything goes with that particular storyline here in the near future. You also had a match between Noah Potjayas, I don't know how to say that name, but he was going up against Ty Dillinger. Really quick match, nothing really spectacular about the match, other than Ty Dillinger showing that he's over. He was doing an interview. He immediately gets attacked by Bobby Roode, and Bobby Roode basically lays him out. A little bit of extra build for the storyline, especially at the end. Even though they had announced the match, Bobby Roode says, "You want me, you got me," and then stands over him in the glorious pose, and they cut to that. So, like I said, more story building for their match at TakeOver than much of a match. And this is the same for Asuka's match. And before I get into Asuka's match, we also had a Paul Ellering promo with him and the Authors of Pain. And basically, it's Ellering kind of explaining a little bit more his vision. It doesn't fully give his vision, but gives a little bit. It's like, this is my vision. I had a vision, and now it's coming to fruition with the Authors of Pain here in NXT. He cuts a pretty good promo, kind of menacing promo. And then they go to both members of Authors of Pain, and they start speaking in, of course, a foreign language. Not understandable, but, still gets across the point menacingly that, like, these guys are not to be feared. Or not saying not to be feared, but to be feared in general. And it's gonna be an interesting one going forward with the Authors of Pain to go along with it. And this brings me to the final aspect of the night, which I personally thought was the biggest point of the show, even though it didn't end the show. Asuka went up against Thea Trinidad, or known as Rosita, for people who had been around, who had watched TNA wrestling as well. Asuka wins in what was a quick match, kind of in dominant fashion, like what she's always been doing, in every way, shape, or form. But Regal comes out and says, I scoured the world for your next opponent, and here she is. And lo and behold, it's Mickie James. Mickie freaking James coming back to WWE and cuts a quick promo on Asuka. And the crowd popped for this one big time as well. I read rumors after watching the show about who the original plan was, which was supposed to be Trish. And I could see that being in Toronto and everything like that. But apparently Trish is pregnant again. So obviously you can't do that. You can't have her go out there and have a match when she's pregnant again to go along with everything. So they did go with Mickie James here. Good choice, by the way. Very, very good choice. It's been a while since I've seen a Mickie James match. It had been sometime back in Total Nonstop Action or on Impact Wrestling sometime. But it's been a while. But I can imagine the two of these women putting a pretty knockdown, drag-out fight to go along with everything. And overall, like I said, there was a lot of story building to this show. The story with the Asuka bit was more of, here's your opponent, and again, I love the facial reaction, and just the reaction to Asuka is like, she looked like, it was like, you want to give me Mickie James? Yeah, I want that match. She was like very excited to have that kind of match in there, and it just came off that way. I thought it came off really good. Oh yeah, I can't believe I missed this one, because Joe also cut a promo tonight on Shinsuke Nakamura, basically saying it's like he changed Shinsuke Nakamura. He's no longer that guy who goes out there with swagger and just kind of gloats and everything like that. No, he's a champion who's in fear, always looking behind his back and everything like that because of what he did to him a few weeks ago. So pretty good promo from Joe here. focusing on Shinsuke. So we'll see where everything goes leading into NXT TakeOver Toronto. That is my review this week for WWE NXT. I thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.